What is up, gamers? Welcome back to Our Eyes on Indie. Today, it is just going to be me, your boy, Michael, doing a review. Because Finn and I are trying something different here. We're trying some more split reviews so we can cover a little bit more ground. Don't worry though, we are still going to be doing plenty of cooperative reviews. Now with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's get into the review. So today, I'm going to be reviewing a game from the developers over at Grubby Entertainment. They are a newer developer that was founded in 2020 and have yet to release a fully developed game. That is, until now. Their inaugural game, Deadlink, will be fully released on July 27th of this year, which must be very exciting for this upcoming developer because, I've played their game a good bit and I really like it. See, the people over at Grubby have taken a very good concept and executed it to near perfection. Even though the environment of this game seems a little bit stereotypical, it works perfectly for the game and is wrapped up nicely by the thumping music and ear-splitting sound of shots being fired. So without further ado, let's look at Deadlink. So Deadlink, what is it? What is it about? How does the game work? Etc, etc. All these questions that are rampaging through your mind that you might have about this game. And lucky for you, I am here to answer all of those questions and then some. So strap on in as we jump into what the gameplay looks like. So Deadlink is an arena-based roguelike set in a cyberpunk environment where everything and everyone has some sort of tech implant installed into them. So because Deadlink is a roguelike, that means you have to start each run over and have to climb your way back up to the top. Throughout a run, you will get upgrades. These upgrades come in three different forms: shell upgrades, weapon upgrades, and perks. Shell upgrades consist of pretty simple buffs to your abilities like shorter cooldown time when another ability is being used and the like. Weapon upgrades are pretty similar. They either add increased damage, increased mag size, increased reload speed, or they can add something a little bit cooler like an elemental effect to your gun like shock or burn. And finally, there are perks. Perks are 100% the key factor in completing a build in this game. The perk system is actually very interesting in the way that there are what one would say energy levels for each perk slot. There are a total of 4 different perk slots, one for each sort of primary action in the game, which could either be swapping your weapon or breaking something in the environment. Now each perk has an activatable subset and a passive subset. The activatable subset, is activated by putting it in the correct perk slot, which has the right energy to activate that perk, if that makes sense. It is a bit of an odd system, but it works really well for this game. It really forces you to think about your perk and how those perks play in with your character. So, as an example, my favorite character is the very quick type. He's Glass Cannon. And one of my favorite perks for him is an ability that makes you punch really, really hard. And luckily for me, that perk is a 1 energy activatable perk. So that means I should put it in my 1 energy activatable slot. See, each slot though has a different prerequisite before the ability in that slot can be activated. So for the 1 energy slot, it's whenever you switch weapons, the perk in that slot becomes activated if it is 1 energy. So if you put a 3 energy perk in that slot, you only get the passive effect of that perk because it's not a 3 energy slot. The 3 energy slot is when you break environmental things, then the perk becomes activated, if that makes any sense. But I digress for now. Let's go on to the story, and we'll come back to the perks in just a little bit. So story. Honestly, the story overall in Deadlink is rather surface level. However, there is a little bit. In the world of Deadlink, you play as a soldier whose brain has been connected to a robotic shell via a government mission called the Deadlink Protocol, fancily enough. The government has enacted this procedure in order to stand up against some of the bigger corporations that have started to take control of the markets and the like. The city where all this tomfoolery takes place is called the Core, which is an acronym for Capital Outreach and Reinvestment Executory. The Core is a huge megacity in which these corporations run free. The Core is pretty much what you think of when you think of the word cyberpunk. It's a huge megacity surrounded by neon lights, augmented humans, and a bunch of robots. But honestly, who really cares about the story in roguelikes? Let's go talk about the combat. The combat! What we all truly care about in roguelikes. And if you say otherwise, well, you are probably wrong. But that's neither here nor there. The combat in Deadlink is very fast. It's like a movement shooter had a child with a roguelike, and that is Deadlink. However, it is very smooth for how fast you play it. From flicking the Peacekeeper to hit heads to chucking grenades at robot spiders, everything just works flawlessly. Honestly, the whole combat system reminds me a lot of Ghost Runner, which is a game that came out a few years back, which has a similar vibe to it. And truly, this is the combat that I love. It is extremely fast-paced, with a very high skill ceiling, so you can never truly master the game. And for that, I'd have to say Deadlink's combat is pretty top tier. It's a very quick game, it's very smooth for being an early access game, because remember, it fully releases on the 27th, and the combination of everything exploding and all the shots being fired is just music to my ears. And on top of that, the whole perk system, making you actually think about your build instead of just picking up random perks, is a very nice change to some other roguelikes. And within this little sphere of fantastic combat, you also have these amazing environments. The environments are bright, they are very moody, and, well, quite cyberpunky. So let's get into the environments, because that's what makes up a game, the environments and the gameplay. Because a great game with really solid gameplay but bad environments is kind of meh, and then a great game with really good environments but kind of meh gameplay is also meh. So to have the two go seamlessly hand in hand and work really well at the same time is a very, very appreciated surprise. So as I mentioned before, the environments are very cyberpunky because this is a cyberpunk game. However, there are 3 distinct environments, each with its own characteristics, enemy types, and boss. The first biome you'll encounter in Deadlink is the Tora Heavy Industries biome. This is a very Japanese street-styled biome, and it is part of the largest megacore in Japan, which is, well, Tora Heavy Industries, or THI for short. After you go through this biome and beat the boss, which is a giant spider tarantula, spoiler alert, you go on to the next biome, which is the Watts-Rucker Biolab. It's a very industrial setting with a bunch of chemistry stuff, test tubes, and everything you would find in a lab. Except imagine that lab is about, a few hundred years in the future, and there you go. So after you beat the lab biome with all of its little drones and annoying enemies, you go on to the final biome, which is called Interport. And Interport is a warehouse type biome. It's very dark, very grungy, has a lot of moving turrets which are annoying, and it's really close combat. So it's hard to move around and really get your bearings. I personally have yet to beat this biome, which is, I'm pretty sure, the last biome in the game, and it is frustrating me. It makes me want to play the game so much more, and it's a great feeling, honestly, to get beat. Because every time you die, you always have something to learn from it. So, with all the biomes and the combat, the gameplay, and the rather minimal story integrated into one game, you get the game Deadlink. It is a rather great game, to be honest, and I cannot wait to see what the developers over at Grubby do to improve it in the upcoming years and when it's fully released. So, until next time, thank you guys for watching Our Eyes on Indie, and go check out our second channel, Our Hands on Indie, where you can see some long gameplay videos of the games we review over here. Toodaloo, and have a great day.